me what's going on for you and how I could help with your prep.
Yeah, so right now we're going on to week 5, logical reasoning. That's what we're stepping into the midst of. Just finished up the logic game section. I gave myself a few extra days off the practice plan, the schedule that I got from you, just to really hone down. Still, when I ended it, I was a little bit shaky on the could be true questions regarding the logic games. What I found myself doing was, I was picking an answer that seemed like it could be true, and then you go back and you find it may be like the most minuscule rule out of them all. So I think that's an issue that I was running into, is timing actually for me was not an issue at all. But I still felt myself rushing through questions when I did not need to rush at all. I was finishing up the logic game sections like 27 minutes in. And then I told myself, all right, slow down. And then it became 33 minutes. And that's when I started going from getting 18 right to getting 20 right. And just focusing on getting those 2 or 3 extra problems right obviously pays off tremendously when you're taking the real exam. So I think it's a matter of not rushing. And then when I don't rush, I don't forget the rules. And that's where I found the biggest issue.
Awesome. So it sounds like adjusting your pacing a little bit made a big difference for you there.
Yeah, which I was glad, because, it seems like it's such a concern with people that pacing is an issue in regards of they don't, sorry about that. They don't have enough time. And I felt like I had plenty of time, which is a good concern. That's definitely a good concern. I don't really have much to say in regards to logical reasoning, because literally yesterday was day 1. So I was just going through the reading material, and that's my plan for after this call for the next few hours, is to continue reading before really getting into any questions. But it seems like, and I guess that this could be something good to discuss, it seems like there's a tremendous amount of carryover from the logic games to logical reasoning and vice versa.
Yeah, there is. There's a good amount of formal logic in the logical reasoning section. Not that much, but maybe more than you would have expected. And so the formal logic you see, meaning lots of conditionals you might diagram that you might link together, it's the exact same skill set that you're using in a lot of logic games, like taking counterpositives, linking together multiple conditionals, making inferences and such. Yeah,
and that's even though yesterday just started, that's where I definitely see some comparisons, and it's just really thinking about how you can dissect the keywords and not really focusing in on those large words that they may just throw in there to throw you off. That's what I would do with some of the games, is I would focus on things that really had nothing to do with the game at all. And then, as you continue to practice and practice and practice, I realized that's completely, that has nothing to do with this question at all. So I don't want to say disregard it, but for lack of a better word, I do disregard it. So prior to taking your course, I was just doing some random practice tests and random problems, and they give me this huge term that I'd never come across ever in my life, and I would get so paranoid about it. Be like, oh, what does this mean? I have no idea. Am I going to have to learn all this LSAT vocabulary like you did for the SAT and the ACT? And no, that's not the issue. So definitely reassuring to know that.
Yeah. The terminology, the fancy language, ultimately doesn't really matter that much. The question is, do you get the concept or not? And tonight's class is actually focused on logical reasoning flaws. And I'll reference the formal term for those who are familiar, but overall, we're just going to get into it with examples. That's what really makes it come to life.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be participating in that one, especially. I feel like that'll be a good point for me to start off on as I go into this next. I think as I looked forward through in the schedule, I think it's up to week 14 or week 15 is basically all logical reasoning. And the one thing, and I see that you have certain days where it's going back to logic games. That's one thing I need to continue to do on my own end, is I have a tendency to, if I don't continue to do it, it'll get lost in translation. So as I delve more into logical reasoning, I really need to make sure I continue to stay sharp on logic games.
Yeah, and that's exactly the idea, is to keep you fresh on games. You don't want to get rusty. You don't want to go too long without reviewing something that you've previously done. So that's why I do have you cycle it in. And then logical reasoning has so many different question types. It's worth taking those weeks to master them, especially since you have a relatively longer timeline. You can afford to invest that time there.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I was considering discussing with you. Is I definitely feel pretty confident with the logic games, and as I continue with the logical reasoning, I may contemplate taking it in August to see, you know, obviously there's practice tests that I would take beforehand to see if it's something that I really want to commit to, because obviously there's the financial commitment to it as well, prior to taking it in October, because there's always that what if scenario. The what if the August one tends to be go better for me than the one in October. And plus, if my growth at logical reasoning is similar to my growth at logic games, and I do already feel comfortable with reading comprehension. It's something that I focus on in my day-to-day job as well. It's something that's kind of required, is can you comprehend this material in front of you? And it's always just been something that I've been relatively good at. So I already have a confidence with reading comprehension. So what would your advice be in regards to that? I had the 6-month track, but if I do feel the confidence in that 6 months then becomes 4 months, what would you consider?
Yeah, well, just recognize that as early as possible. Make that decision. If you do want to, in fact, take it a few months earlier, that means you've got to move everything up a little bit compared to what you were going to do previously. So you want to start doing full length timed exams sooner and get that flow ready for yourself in terms of
Hmm.
gearing up to take what may be a 5-section in-person exam in August.
Yeah.
LSAC has given early indications that they're hoping to administer the August LSAT in person with social distancing. And whether or they'll actually be able to do that or not is a different question, but they're certainly looking like they're going to try. And so it may not be a flex. Of course, the farther out we go, the less likely it is to be a flex, the more likely it is to be an in-person. So that may impact things in one direction or another. But with regard to just the study plan itself, doing full length exams sooner is the biggest thing. So you may want to
Hmm.
integrate some of those a little bit earlier in your prep than you would otherwise, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. I basically am going to give myself a timeline, see how the first few weeks of logical reasoning goes, especially since the portal to apply is, I believe it's already open for August, and it will continue to be open over the next month or so. So I'm not rushing myself with making any ideas. I've been so set in stone on October that that's not a concern for me. It's just a matter of, if I feel confident, why not take it in August and then take it again in October. I'm solely planning on taking it again in October, whether or not I do take it in August, just for the possibility of increasing a score if I do commit to taking it in August. So, yeah, I'll keep you posted on that, obviously, too, with what I intend to do.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is that you could take both August and October and increase your odds of doing better. Law schools only take the highest score. So there's not much downside to giving yourself the chance to do multiple takes, and whatever is better, that's what you end up applying with. So it could only help.
Exactly, and that's my thought process in and of itself, is take in August, see how it goes. If in the next 3 to 4 weeks I feel ready to take in August, obviously, and that's obviously going to have to take the 6-month plan and narrow it down regarding logical reasoning. But I my growth in logic games, I think I mentioned this to you in email, through your course. It improved from looking at a grouping section in 5 weeks ago and not having a clue what to do, and now I could walk my parents through through a grouping game or any other type of game. That's actually what we've been doing, is during dinner we do a one LSAT question a night that I'll walk my parents through. But it's good for me because, one, it gives them a sense of what the hell I'm doing for the 3 hours or 4 hours that I'm spending studying per day. And it also proves to myself, if I can explain it, I can do it.
That is fantastic. I love to hear that. The LSAT is bringing families together and keeping you busy during quarantine. That's awesome. I like the idea of
Yeah.
just a little bit every day. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You're also having fun with it too, which is great.
Yeah, definitely having fun. It's like a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a puzzle. I'm sure the logical reasoning games aren't, or not logical reasoning games, but logical reasoning section isn't as much of a puzzle as the games are in of itself. But I definitely enjoy doing them, and when you can find that sense of satisfaction while studying. It was the same thing while going through undergrad. If you enjoy what you're studying, obviously the results are going to show when it comes to exam time or writing a paper or whatever the final outcome is.
I couldn't agree more. Anywhere you can find fun in this process, it only makes the whole thing smoother. It makes you do better. The people who do the best on this exam tend to find something to appreciate about it and find some levity in it as well too. So the fact that you can find some entertainment in the games is awesome. With logical reasoning, you may find it there too. I mean, some of those arguments are patently absurd. They're ridiculous. And so if you can handpick some of those to discuss, it can make for a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed in just in real life scenarios, and I've seen it in some of the comments on your website and just on social media overall when people are discussing it. Is it seems like with a certain group of people, and I've definitely fallen into that category, is you start to think like the LSAT, and you could really analyze the most tedious of situations. And man, and then you could even, like, I swear I had a dream a few nights ago and I got lost in a logic game. I swear to God that happened. So, my days are pretty full of working, still doing the working grind, obviously, and studying, and then finding some time to go play 18 holes. So that's been my last few months.
Awesome. Well, it doesn't sound like the worst way to spend it.
No, not at all.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad we had this chance to connect again, and I'll see you in class tonight. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I'm good. I'll do some readings and hopefully we'll have some questions. If not, I'll just listen in and absorb.
Cool. All right. Well, and feel free to participate as you like as well. These are very introductory flaws, and so anybody can connect with them. Anybody can bring in their thoughts. So I'll encourage you to do so.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Steve.
Of course, I'll see you in a few. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.